Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, this episode was something. I don't know. I feel like sometimes when I watch these episodes, I do my review, and then like the next day, sometimes I may watch either Brock TV's video or I may watch this other girl's name that I still cannot pronounce. She does all four videos. And sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, this episode's pretty good. This episode's pretty interesting." And I'm just like, "Are we watching the same episode?" I mean, don't get me wrong. One of the things I love about what I do and just the soap opera community, because apparently I didn't know there was actually that many people that review soap operas and stuff, um, or just in that setting. But one of the things I like is that we all do have a different perspective, and I always find that pretty interesting. It's just like watching today's episode. It was just like, let's talk about Carly and Sunny, and this is exactly what I mean about like, the short version of it is that Carly and Sunny argued about the same thing, and Sunny was wrong and Carly was right, and I could just sit there and I can end it like that, and everyone will know what I'm talking about. Everyone will know what I'm talking about. But not just for the uninitiated, but just for people who are new to watching this show. All they pretty much did was point out how Sunny is a different person. I mean, Carly literally said, "I don't recognize you anymore." And one of the things that she pointed out, which is one of many, is when Scott was sitting there trying to tear Michael apart on that stand. And after the dust was settled, Sunny didn't go and check on Michael. Sunny went to go check on Nina. I never actually thought, watching this show for 20 something years, um, and just loving Sunny's character, I never thought that I would ever actually say those words out of my mouth. Two people are in a lot of pain. Your son and maybe your soon to be girlfriend. What do you go for? Now, I got this little theory in my mind, and I'm sitting there trying to draw comparisons, and I know I really can't, but let's just think way back. Remember when Michael was shot? Sonny heard a bullet, and Carly found out that Sonny dived to save Connie, dived to go and save Connie before he reached out to get Michael. Now, Sonny's excuse was um, Connie was closer. Connie was closer as far as trying to get out the way of whatever bullet was coming towards them, and Michael wasn't. Now, we can all sit there and buy that. If you sit there and really think about it, you know, instincts, reaction, I would have to go back and actually watch it again. If his first instinct wasn't to go after Michael and it was to go after Connie, and we sit there and think about it now, I don't know how much, I'm just sitting there just thinking about it in my head, like, this seems kind of familiar. I mean, not really, but sort of. Anyway, Sonny does what he usually does in the situation when he talks to Carly. And Carly's sitting there pointing out everything that Sonny has done wrong up until this point. Sonny gets defensive. When Sonny gets defensive, he starts playing the blame game. Oh, well, it wasn't just me, it was you too. You abandoned our marriage. You gave up on our marriage. And I'm just like, at that point, I was like, I'm not even going to write. I'm just going to write excuses. Just excuses. You gave up on our marriage. You were with Jason. You lied too. Like, bro, halfway through this conversation, I was like, "Is there a point to this whole thing between you two?" I mean, I know that I guess it was to talk about the kids or whatever, but it didn't seem like it really went anywhere. And all Carly said was, "No, I'm not going to keep Donna away from you." But that's all we have is just Donna. I'm like, do we really need to sit there and have this 2 minute conversation to point out everything that was wrong with Sonny up until this point? We didn't we didn't need to do that, right? We did for the new people. Okay, that's literally how I felt about that whole scene. Now I'm gonna be honest. They said Wyatt's name in the middle of the episode, and when they show because on Instagram it was like, oh, Wyatt's gonna sit there and make an appearance or whatever. And I was like, okay. But then when they showed him for a good minute, the first time he was with Finn and everything like that, I was like, is that Wyatt or is that Aiden? And it was Aiden. It was new Aiden. Um, anyway, Cam is pissy. He doesn't want to sit there and play pretend with Gregory and Violet. Honestly, tell you, Violet was literally the only bright spot that entire camping trip. Violet was literally the brightest spot, and everything else is just like, is this really necessary? I get Cam to a certain extent because he wants to come out there for his brothers, but he doesn't want to sit there and feel like he's playing pretend. Everything is all merry and everything like that, while his mom is pretty much kind of in the psych ward. Um, so I get it to some extent. I'm like, bro, he's literally just in there trying to help you out. And instead of Ben just keep banging his head, because he tried to talk to him again and it didn't work. He's like, you know what, Greggy, why don't you talk to him? Greg talked to him about the whole Title IX thing, and at the end of it, he was like, "Okay, cool, I understand it now." I was like, "Cool, that makes two of y'all." I'm gonna have to sit there and look that up because unfortunately, I know it's a real thing. That's the sad part. I know it's a real thing. Of course, GH likes to sit there and play fast and loose when it comes towards things like that, like HIPAA. I'm so not gonna forget that with Willow. I'm just not gonna do it. Um, Anyway, they got that whole thing going on. Then on the other side, you got Maxie and Austin hanging out, getting to know each other, talking about Georgie. Well, Maxie's sister, Georgie. I wonder what she's actually doing right now. I think I've seen her in like one movie for like 5 seconds. Like she was literally at the end of the movie. It was just kind of get to know each other. Nothing really special. It's like you could have kind of missed that part, and you know, I mean, unless you're shipping those two, you like those two together. Then other than that, it was really pointless. And of course, Wyatt was there. And at the end of the episode, they all get together, and Wyatt's there talking about playing guitar, and Cam, he plays guitar and everything like that. So, they're over there, I guess, messing around with his guitar. It doesn't really go anywhere. It just seems like things are going to start to get a little bit better with Finn, just like things start to get better with Franco until they decided, hey, well, not really they. I mean, more of the actor was like, all right, cool, I'm just going to sit there and leave, go away for a little bit, come back as a different character. And all that character development from before, that's just going to go out the window. We got a new character now named Austin. And I don't know the hell who he is actually at this point, but whatever. Let's talk about Dante, Sam, and Cody. All right, here's the thing with Cody. I don't understand. There are some people that's not there really like. They don't like Cody. They don't like Cody. I remember when we were sitting there reading some comments, or whatever. Not even in my comment section. I actually went to the other girl's name that I can't pronounce yet. Um, And some people wasn't they go, oh, Cody's a bum, blah, 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 blah. Maybe this might have been my comment section too. People was like, Cody's a bum and everything like that. I was like, Cody does have a job. I mean, it's not like he's just, I mean, it's gig job. So he goes from one gig to the next. But it's like, people sit there and say bum. I'm like, Yeah, I really understand the definition of that because that's not it. Anyway, he's there with Dante, and Dante is worried because Dante caught Cody talking to Zelda, which is a really odd name, um, about the fact that his 500, he got $500 less in his check, and honestly, to tell you the truth, I think this had a lot to do with the fine print, which apparently he didn't read. So, at this point, Zelda's like, "Hey, you're trying to extort me," and Dante's like, "Listen, if I just take him away from both of your hands, we good, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, we're good." So Dante takes him to Savoy, get some drinks or whatever, and now Cody's like, "Oh, I want to sit there and get a farm." And Sam was like, "I thought you didn't like to sit there and be in one place too long. No, I just gotta sit there and find the right place." Okay, I guess the mystery kind of deepens. He gets some sort of sharp glares at Britt. You know, he turns down some money from Dante, and then he's like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna be sitting there leaving in the morning," which is totally not gonna happen. But whatever. I don't really know what to make of this guy so far. But it's also too early to sit there and tell. I mean, to an extent. There's some characters that could sit there and come in there and just like, "Oh, he's gonna be amazing," or "He's gonna be terrible." When Patrick Drake first came in town, I'm not gonna lie, that was another one of my favorite characters. Was Patrick Drake. So sometimes you can sit there and tell right away if you're gonna like the character or not like the character. And him, I'm just like, it's too early to tell. I mean, I kind of think the cast is bloated anyway, but what else? At some point after his last attempt at trying to get Britt to sue because for some odd reason it didn't work the first time, so he figured he tries again. He leaves. He goes and I guess he tries to find Zelda and runs into Spinelli. Well, they're at a hotel, so he follows her to the hotel, and then who comes out is Spinelli to I guess push some dinner or whatever out the room, and then he goes back in there. So I think the last scene is with Trina and Josh. So after they tell Cam about the Title IX thing, they run into Spinelli. Well, actually, they call Spinelli up. They don't really get anywhere. They're talking about the phone. The only lead that they get is Spinelli blurting out some sketchy place that he goes, that people are known to go for as far as getting like burner phones or whatever. Because he was like, oh, the serial number is untraceable, yada, yada, yada. I know a spot, and it's kind of, he says the name, and he kind of like slips up. He's like, oh. And then towards the end, he was like, listen, Josh, I need you to not go there. Josh is all like, oh, I'm my mother's daughter. And Spinelli was like, yeah, see, that's the exact problem I'm having. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I feel like if Spinelli really wants to sit there and cover his ass, he would have told Carly that, oh, by the way, I slipped up and told your daughter about a sketchy place to go find phones when she was not there trying to look for proof or whatever. But nope. So I'm pretty sure Carly's gonna probably be upset with Spinelli if anything happens. But and towards the end of the episode, they do want him going to that sketchy place, which is like a bar or whatever. I feel like they kind of use some parts of the set from like the floating river or whatever. It looked kind of familiar. Um, I got a random question to sit there and ask. So I don't know how long Chad Duell is going to be out as far as being Michael. I seriously hope it's not permanent. Um, but okay, how would people feel if they had to temporarily replace Jocelyn? I say that because, granted, this was not the first actor to sit there and play Jocelyn. They had like the little version, just like they had the little Michael version. But she's been Jocelyn for a while. Okay, she's been Jocelyn for a hot minute, and it would just be really jarring to sit there and see somebody else be, Jocelyn. Same thing with Nancy as far as Alexis. Now I know some people are like, oh, I wanted the new Nancy to stay. I mean, I want the new Alexis to stay because I don't like Nancy. And it's like, yeah, I get that, but I feel like that actress has been playing Alexis for so long that it's like, what are you doing? So I'm just kind of curious if they had to sit there and place Jocelyn for a little bit, like how would everyone feel about that? I feel like that's about it for the most part. I really do. I know this video came out a little bit later than usual, and I apologize for that, but I had a long day and I needed a power nap because I was like, if I didn't come home and sleep before I started doing like this review, I would have did it, but it just would have been a very low energy version of me, and that version of me is not fun. Um, anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I think that's pretty much about it. I don't really think I kind of missed too much. Oh, I did. As I was listening to this, I was like, I didn't miss too much. Oh yeah, I missed Britt and Nina, which really didn't. It's another one of those things. It was like they didn't really do anything. And I talked, Nina talked about her leaving. She talked about Wiley. Britt talked about her being thrown in, well, her being knocked in the pool and how she's a meme, but now she's not a meme. She's a, what do you call that? A GIF or GIF, or I think it was called a GIF or something. I'm not too sure, but whatever it is, they talk about that for a little bit and family, and then they talk about Sonny, and then towards the end, Sonny had a bad day, and so now it's like, hey Nina, I need you. Could you stay? Could I get you to change your mind and stay? That was pretty much about it. They didn't really talk about anything too significant. It was just more catch up. Um, yeah, I feel like that's about it. This episode was. Yeah, I feel like sometimes some of these episodes is very lackluster, and they really kind of depend on the characters sometimes. Like, I mean, yesterday you had Ryan and you had Esmere, and that was actually pretty interesting. You had Nicholas and you had Ava, and that was kind of interesting. To talk with like Spencer and Laura was just like, ugh. So it really depends on the characters during the episodes that will make people like, this was a good episode. It's like I looked at it, I was like, this episode was. And sometimes with episodes like this, and I'll sit there and finish watching it, I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like, how the hell am I going to sit there and talk 15, 20 minutes about this very lackluster episode? And then it just reminds me just how much I love doing this. Because even when it's a lackluster episode, I'm just like, all right, well, let's talk about this episode. Because sometimes I feel like, you know what? Every now and then, I'm like, is sometimes probably better to watch my review than watch some of these episodes. I'm not saying like I make the episode, like I'm just so great or whatever, but some of these episodes are just very, very, very skippable. Um, and that's even for like B&B and days sometimes, every now and then. So anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I'll see you in the next video.